Hello. Hi. This is Charles Pinckney speaking, and I'd like to introduce to you portrait painter Lynn Zimmett at the San Diego Portrait Society.
Hi, my name is Lynn, and this video is about a demonstration I did for the San Diego Portrait Society. And what I am doing here is demonstrating the use of two different palettes for laying in a portrait. The first palette is the one used by Anders Zorn, which is a white. I use blue black, cadmium red light, and yellow ochre. And then to that I add transparent maroon by Winsor Newton. And the drawings were done before the demo. I like to draw with willow charcoal, the real soft, fine charcoal, and then in the Zorn palette, I outline in transparent maroon, and for the Capella palette, I use a ultramarine and white mixture, which I'll talk about when I get to Sebastian Capella's palette. So this first palette, as I'm starting here, I'm laying in my shadow areas, and I use the blue, black, and ochre to get a really beautiful green mixture. And I like that as an underpainting. I like to mix, I paint alla prima mostly, and I like to mix wet into wet. So that's what's going on over here. The next thing that I'm going to do after I've got the darks and my shadows laid into the face is take my cadmium red light with and mix it into the dark values, and then start to create some structure in the face by mixing the cadmium red, the ochres, and the whites, a little lighter, a little darker, and then creating the dark patterns. Now the hair, I'm using transparent maroon and some blue black to create the top shape of the head and lay in some more darker darks. What I do next is I will use a mixture of cadmium red light, yellow ochre, and white to get my flesh tones and get my bone structures laid in with darker and lighter values. And then it's always important to go back and redraw. Make sure that your drawing is kept up. One of the things that I do is I put my eyes in very early. I know a lot of people don't like to do that, but I'm a portrait painter who likes to be looking at somebody, so I need to put the eyes in and get them to a place where I feel like I've got somebody looking back at me, and I'm much happier at that point when I'm painting. Now, one of the things that I do also is I use a rubber scraper. It's a pottery tool. It's got an angled tip, and it's nice, you know, when the color is off, but it also, I'll use it to draw, because I can get my lines put in without getting another layer of paint in the early parts of the drawing. Now you need to relate your skin tone with what's going on around it. Now, frequently when I paint, I use a lot of brushes, although there will be times where I'll use only one. What's nice about using a lot of brushes is if you need to go back to a particular color or a particular value, it keeps your brushes very clean. You're not mixing up your whites and darks and getting your darks all pasty or your whites all dirty. And then it's always important to go back and get your drawing back together. Never lose sight of the drawing. Now this is the end of my demo using the Zorn palette, and I'm going to begin the demo using the Sebastian Capella palette. And my drawing, as you can see, has already been done using ultramarine and white, and then I'll begin the layout of the shadow patterns. One of the reasons I like to lay my shadow patterns in first is it helps to keep me organized, which Sebastian is from Spain. He's a master painter who I first learned to paint with. And the palette he uses, I use mostly Da Vinci paints, is titanium white, cadmium yellow pale, cadmium yellow orange, cadmium red light, red rose deep for pinks, alizarin crimson, cerulean, ultramarine, and viridian. And then we mix a final color, which is ultramarine and white, which is a beautiful shadow color, and which is what I'm using here to lay in my dark patterns. It's a much higher key of chroma, a lot more vibrant colors than what you're going to be getting in the Zorn palette. And I'll lay in my portrait. I'll start with my shadow pattern, which I like to get in the ultramarine and white. And depending on how strong your light is, you use more ultramarine or more white. And then over that, I'll take my cadmium red light and go directly back into the blue-white mixture. And then I'll use a combination of cadmium red, cadmium yellow, and white, or the yellow orange instead of the yellow pale, for a little bit darker. And I'll mix that back into that underpainting to get the structure of the face and the bones. After that, I usually go back in, I'll draw a little bit, and I'll try and make sure that I have my darks set up so that I know what my value range is going to be. At this point, I'm going to put in some of my background. I need it there to get my values and my colors relating to one another from the face to the background. And I'm going to do a little more work, and that'll be the end of the demo on how to start paintings with the two different palettes. Thank you so much for watching.